You're standing at a crossroads, and everything feels still, eerily still. The air is thick with something unseen, yet undeniably present. The world seems to pause, and then, far in the distance, you hear it. The low hum of an engine, a vehicle approaching fast. You squint, trying to make out what it is. It's a car, sleek, powerful, coming straight toward you. But suddenly, a whisper cuts through the silence. It's not a human voice. It's something divine. The angels are trying to warn you. Do this before it arrives, or everything you prayed for will slip through your fingers. In a small town nestled between broken highways and forgotten fields lived a man named Ion. For most of his life, he believed in hard work, in patience, and in quiet prayers whispered into the night. But years of effort had brought him nothing but closed doors. Opportunities passed him by like shadows in the dark, always almost there, then gone. Ion worked at a rundown garage fixing cars that didn't belong to him. Every screech or wrench and every drop of oil reminded him of dreams he never chased. Opening his own business, owning his own house, and most of all, driving his own car. Something he had never done in his life. But life had a way of testing his spirit. The more he gave, the more the world seemed to take. People around him moved forward, succeeded, upgraded, while he stayed rooted in place like a tree that refused to bloom. And then came the dream. One stormy night, as thunder cracked open the sky and rain wept onto his rooftop, Ion had a vision. He was standing on a dirt road, surrounded by a vast emptiness. There was no sky, no stars, just an eternal twilight. In the distance, a car sped toward him. Pitch black, its headlights glowing like eyes from another realm. And then he heard the voices, not from the car, from above, from around, from inside him. Ion, a car is coming for you. Your moment is arriving. But if your heart is not right, if you do not forgive before it comes, you will miss it forever. He woke up breathless. Cold sweat coated his skin. It was just a dream, wasn't it? But then the signs began. The very next morning, a stranger came to his garage. An old man with faded eyes and a strange calmness. He didn't bring a car. He brought words. "I don't know why I came here," the man muttered, "but I felt drawn, like something told me, you're waiting for something. Don't let the bitterness in your heart make you blind when it comes." Ion froze. "What do you mean?" But the man simply smiled and left. No name, no explanation. That night, Ion sat alone and thought of everything he'd buried. The betrayals, the heartbreaks, his brother who stole from him, the woman he loved who left him when he was broke, the friends who mocked his dreams. He had forgiven no one. Not truly. He had carried the weight of anger, wrapped in silence, and worn it like armor. But now, he remembered the voice from the dream. Forgive or you'll miss it. The next day was even stranger. On the radio, a preacher's voice echoed as Ion passed by a shop. God sometimes sends a blessing in the form of a test. And if your heart is not clean, you won't recognize it. You'll reject it, or it will pass you by. Later that day, he found a torn note taped to his garage door. It wasn't in his handwriting. It simply read, "The CAR is already on the way. Prepare." Who left it? Why? He didn't know. But something inside him started to change. He sat down that night and wrote letters, not to send, but to release. One to his brother, letting go of the rage. One to the woman he once loved, releasing the pain. One to God, admitting his own flaws, his ego, his pride. With every word he wrote, something heavy lifted. The bitterness that kept him rooted began to dissolve. And then the car came. Not in another dream. Not in a hallucination. On a Thursday afternoon, as the sun spilled gold across the cracked pavement of his garage, a sleek black car pulled up to his shop. The engine purred like a beast, and out stepped a man in a gray suit, holding an envelope. "I've heard of your work," the man said. "I own a series of vintage car restoration companies. Someone mentioned your name. I need someone who understands cars not just as machines, but as souls. You interested in a partnership?" Ion blinked. "Partnership?" "Yes," the man smiled. "Not a job, not a favor. A partnership." Inside the envelope was a contract, a generous offer, and a car key. This car, the man gestured at Black Beauty behind him. Yours. A gift. We believe in rewarding trust before we demand loyalty. Ion couldn't breathe. The same car from his dream. He reached out to touch it, but paused. Was this it? The moment? Was this the blessing the angels warned him about? He closed his eyes. He felt his heart. It was no longer heavy, no longer cold. He had done the work. He had forgiven. The car was no longer a mystery. It was a manifestation. Sometimes, blessings don't arrive with a warning label. They come disguised as tests. And if we don't heal what's within us, we become blind to what's before us. The angels weren't warning Ion about danger. They were urging him to prepare, to clean the space within so he could receive what he had been waiting for. Because when your moment comes, it doesn't wait. It doesn't knock twice. And if you are too angry, too bitter, too closed off to recognize it, the door will close again, perhaps for a lifetime. This wasn't just Ion's story. It's yours too. You keep asking when the car will come, when your opportunity, your breakthrough, your miracle will arrive. But the real question is, will you be ready for it when it does? The papers were signed. The car keys were handed over. And yet, Ion stood still, not moving, not smiling, not even breathing. The magnitude of the moment didn't sink in all at once. It bled slowly into him, like sunlight warming a frostbitten soul. He ran his fingers along the hood of the black car, its surface gleaming like obsidian. The car didn't feel like metal. It felt alive, familiar, as though it had been waiting for him, just as much as he'd been waiting for it. But before he got inside, he looked up at the sky. There were no clouds, no thunder, no whispers, just a peace he hadn't felt in years. The kind of peace that comes after a storm that was only ever meant to pass. Once you survived it, the partnership begins. Within days, Ion's life changed dramatically. His name was listed as co-owner on a new car restoration studio in a bustling nearby city. He was flown out to meetings, given access to tools, technology, and money he could never have imagined. But it wasn't the material things that overwhelmed him. It was the trust. People looked at him with respect. Clients asked for his opinion. For the first time in his life, people didn't just see him as a mechanic. They saw him as a visionary, a creator, a man with value. But blessings come with shadows. As quickly as the success came, so did the tests. Old faces began reappearing. The same brother who once stole from him called late one night, crying, asking for money. Friends who mocked him showed up in his inbox, now praising his rise and asking for favors. The woman who once walked away when he had nothing suddenly wanted to talk. Each encounter was like a knife testing an old wound. But Ion remembered the whispers. The angel's warning wasn't just about the car. It was about the man he needed to become to keep what was coming. Because anyone can receive a blessing, but not everyone can hold on to it. The temptation. Ion began to notice something eerie. The more he surrounded himself with the old energy, the voices from his past, the more problems began surfacing. Deadlines were missed. A client pulled out unexpectedly. And one evening, as he drove the black car along a cliffside highway, he saw a shadow standing at the edge of the road. He hit the brakes. But when he stepped out, there was no one there. Just a note taped to a nearby tree. It's not just about forgiving once. It's about not letting the past back in. Stay clean. Stay focused, or you will lose it all. No signature. No explanation. The chills returned. The message was clear. It wasn't enough that he had forgiven. Now he had to protect his heart. Set boundaries. Choose his future over familiar pain. That night, he made a decision. He cut ties with every manipulative person from his past. He helped where he could, but he stopped carrying people who had once enjoyed watching him drown. He wasn't being cruel. He was being clear. You see, when God gives you a car, a blessing, a breakthrough, it's because he sees that you've grown enough to drive it. But if you let back in the same energy that once broke you, you'll crash before you even reach your destination. The second warning. Months passed. The business flourished. Ion hired honest workers, trained you from his town, and created a culture of faith and gratitude. But one night, just as he was locking up, a small girl wandered into the shop. Dirty clothes, no shoes, holding a paper. "Someone told me to give you this," she said, handing the note and disappearing before he could even ask her name. The paper read, "Another car is coming, but this time it won't slow down. Do what must be done. Now." His heartbeat slowed. Another car? Another test? Another chance, or a final one? He didn't understand. But the next day, the meaning hit him like a wave. The man who gave him the first opportunity, the suited stranger, was retiring, moving overseas, and he was handing Ayan full ownership of the company. But there was a condition, a final one. "You have to move to the city," the man said, "permanently. We need you here." And with that move comes not just this business, but a new life, new people, new platform. It sounded perfect, but there was one problem. Ayan had started mentoring orphans in his hometown. He'd become a source of light for broken kids who saw him as more than a businessman. If he left now, who would they have? But if he stayed, he might never get another chance like this. He stood again at a crossroads, the hum of a second car in the distance. The angels had warned him, do what must be done. That night, he prayed, not for success, but for clarity. And once again he dreamed. In the dream, he saw two roads. One led to Gold Light's fame. The other led to a small house filled with children laughing and learning. At first, he walked toward the gold. But the farther he went, the more he aged. The road turned dark, lonely, silent. When he turned back and walked toward the small house, he glowed. The laughter grew, and the black car waited outside, shining brighter than ever. He woke up in tears. The message was clear. He didn't have to leave to rise. He had to lead where he was. Ayan respectfully declined the full takeover. Instead, he offered to become a partner in the city branch while managing a new training hub in his town. He'd use the business not just to profit, but to uplift, to build, to serve. That decision shocked everyone. People called him foolish, told him he was letting go of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But what they didn't see was what Ayan saw, what the angels had shown him. Sometimes, the fastest car on the road isn't meant to take you away. It's meant to drop you exactly where your purpose is. And sometimes, the biggest blessing isn't what you receive. It's what you're able to get once your hands are finally full. 1 year later, the garage in Ayan's small town became a sanctuary, not just for cars, but for souls. Children learned skills. Broken men found jobs. Lost people found faith. And the black car, it still sat at the entrance, untouched, preserved, not a symbol of wealth, but a reminder that when heaven sends you a warning, it's not to scare you, it's to prepare you, so that when the moment comes, you don't flinch, you don't doubt, you don't fall back into bitterness or fear. You drive forward, with clarity, with strength, with purpose. Listen closely. Right now, there's a sound growing louder in your life. Maybe it's an opportunity. Maybe it's healing. Maybe it's the exact thing you cried for night after night. But hear this. You must forgive. You must prepare. You must let go of the old stories playing on repeat in your head. Because if your heart is clouded, you won't recognize the car when it arrives. You'll second guess it. You'll sabotage it. You'll let it pass. Don't let that be your story. God is speaking. The angels are whispering. And something beautiful is coming your way. Will you be ready when it does?